This might just be one of the most mysterious stories you would have ever heard. Creepy and unsettling, and will most likely make you believe in the supernatural if you don't already do. In March of 2004, a group of US military men mysteriously went missing, disappearing from the surface of this earth after getting lost in what seemed like a deserted, abandoned village located in the Registan Desert in Afghanistan. The military unit was made up of about 6 to 7 men, led by a man named Private Liam Collins. And according to the story, they were on their way to their military base, just on the other side of the Registan Desert, when all of a sudden their vehicle broke down and their radio phone wasn't working. It was in the middle of the night. Their base was still 14 miles ahead. And so they had only 2 options, if not more. Continue the journey on foot or wait there till it was done before taking the next course of action. However, they went with a third option, to go look for help. And it's very possible for them to most likely find help because there is a group of people who were known to live in the Registan Desert. They are known as the Kochi people, a nomadic tribe that inhabits the Registan Desert. And so maybe these US military men were hoping or banking on meeting some of them, hoping to find refuge for the night and hoping maybe either of them could offer them help in terms of shelter, a mobile phone, or if possible they could even find network on their way towards the village. And so they began their journey on foot, heading for the village. And it did not take long before they were able to start seeing buildings and houses and what looks like a community. However, the first few houses and homes and alleyways that they saw were deserted, quiet, almost as if there was nobody there. And the truth is, there wasn't anybody there. They kept on going from one house to another, from one street to another, from one home to another, from one hallway to another, and realized that this place looks abandoned. This place looks empty. There is no one here. Empty huts, silent hills, no single sign of life. At this point, personally, I would have suggested that they found an empty room or an empty house to sleep for the night. But it seemed like Liam Collins and his unit were now looking for inhabitants. They were not looking for people. It turns out that they needed more than just shelter. They clearly wanted to see someone. And so they continued going deeper into the village. And the deeper they got into the village, their timekeeping equipment, that is a wristwatch or something that they use to keep track of time, suddenly stopped working. And this got this unit confused. They were like, what is going on here? Something is off here. The whole scenario, the whole place looked so off. Liam Collins felt something was wrong. So it was at this point that the sergeant suggested that, okay, they need to stop going further and start looking for a way to return back to their broken vehicle. And maybe it was better they stayed there and waited till dawn. And so they turned around to start going back to where they were coming from. But the only problem now is they were now lost. They did not remember where they came from. They could not find their way back. It seemed like it was an endless line of houses and empty huts and empty villages and empty homes. And at some point, Liam and one of his sergeants climbed up to a roof to look around and see if they could find their way. Mind you, it was still very much dark and there was no source of light other than torchlight and maybe some illumination from the sky. And Private Liam had a camera attached to his helmet, and that is where a lot of these images that we are using right now came from. Because by the end of this story, only the helmet and the camera was found. None of them were. So while they were on top of the roof looking for a way out of this deserted village, the other members who were down waiting for them up to come down observed a shadow and eventually appeared to have seen somebody finally. The person appeared to be an inhabitant of the village, and it was said the person tried to communicate with them. And they were also trying to communicate with the person, understanding that there's a chance the person did not speak English too. So before they could start communicating with this said person that they saw, the person disappeared. Some sources said the person turned around and ran away. And they immediately started going after this person. Because at this point, when they had seen one person, they believed that there could be more people and eventually they could find where the inhabitants of this village were. Probably enough people that would render them help and probably give them the shelter, food or water that they may need. for the night before they continued their journey in the daytime. So they actually continued going after this person. They went deeper into certain parts of the village that looked like a maze. And the deeper they got, the more they could not even find this person that they were chasing. And somewhere along the line, Liam told his team members to stop, that he was feeling a type of way. He believes or suspects that this might be an ambush and suggested they went back. Somewhere along the line, they also saw some bizarre objects. They saw some weird looking artifacts that looked off spiritual and unusual. It looked like it had been placed there, but there was nobody there. It was at this point or at this spot that Sergeant Liam started suggesting that this might be an ambush and that they should all go back. And the other members of his unit were disagreeing with him that they were so close to finding people here who could give them help. Why go back now? And somewhere along the line, it was said they started engaging in an altercation that almost turned into a fight. But they were quick to diffuse the situation, to plan for their next course of action. However, it appeared that one of them might have been possessed by something, because one of the members of these military soldiers began acting weird. He started saying words that did not make sense. He started giving out some kind of erratic mental behavior. Acting off, acting unusual. It was said he even started dancing and behaving like something had controlled his body, which made the other unit members confused as to what was going on with him. The said soldier who appeared to have been possessed might have been called Private Reynolds. His behavior continued. They said he was trying to say something, but the others could not understand him. And in an attempt to make their way back, because at this point, there seemed to be no end for them in this journey of finding people in this village. Everything seemed off. Everything seemed unusual. And now having one of their own acting weird, dancing and misbehaving, they knew it was time to go back to where they came from, because things could only get worse. And the truth is, things only got worse. Somewhere along the line, this said possessed military man began acting on his own. It was said he started going towards a direction as if he knew where he was going, and as if something was calling him, and as if someone was directing him to where he was going. And somewhere it was believed the other members of the group lost him. And in the process of trying to find him, Private Liam divided the team into pairs. And in the process of them going back to find where Reynolds must have gone to, where he must have headed to, they started going back to retrace their steps, started going back from where they had come from, only for them to observe that certain artifacts had been placed just recently in the same spot that they had just moments ago passed. Artifacts that looked like crosses or charms or odd objects appeared to have just been hung in these areas that these people actually just passed. In the entire footage that was retrieved by the American government, it was said that all they could see were just these artifacts being hung. In the process of them trying to find their way back or trying to find the crazy appeared Private Reynolds, everything went blank. And that was the last time anything was heard or seen of these units.
Names, dates, and minor details have been altered to protect the privacy and confidentiality of individuals and organizations involved. A military unit of 7 soldiers was reported KIA after conducting reconnaissance on a location 20 miles out from base. The following images are derived from Private Liam Collins's helmet cam footage, which was later recovered in the Registan Desert. Due to significant corruption of the footage and intentional sealing of certain segments, the available material provides a limited representation of the incident. Viewer discretion is advised.
On the night of March 23, 2004, Liam Collins, along with the rest of his unit, find themselves stranded when their vehicle and equipment experience sudden and unexplained failure. On a desolate stretch of unfamiliar terrain 14 miles out from base, the incident leaves them without the means of transportation and, more troublingly, radio equipment that ceases to function. In the face of this unexpected setback, the soldiers embark on a resolute journey towards what initially appears to be a rustic village, with the anticipation of seeking assistance and refuge from the local inhabitants. As the team enters the village, it quickly becomes clear that it's deserted, with empty huts and silent alleys devoid of life. Undeterred by the unsettling atmosphere, the team continues their search for occupants. However, their sergeant briefly observes a disquieting shift in the environment, as the once present winds give way to a harsh stillness that resonates throughout their surroundings. After an unspecified amount of time, a member of the team raises attention to the failure of timekeeping equipment, adding another layer of confusion and bewilderment to the team's predicament. Exercising sound judgment and deliberation on the situation, the team's sergeant ultimately chooses to reverse course and lead the team back to their stranded vehicles. Following the decision to alter their path, they swiftly become cognizant of a disquieting realization. They had inadvertently lost their bearings. Despite their best efforts to follow what they believe to be the correct path, they encounter unfamiliar areas that do not match their recollection. Driven by mounting perplexity, Private Collins, along with another member of the team, take decisive action and ascend to the rooftops of one of the many structures, seeking a vantage point that may provide with a better overview of the area. A futile attempt in the darkness of the now seemingly endless village. As the remainder of the team waited from below, a member of the unit drew attention to a caught sight of movement in the periphery of their vision. The team observed an individual, resembling what they initially assumed to be a village inhabitant, positioned on the pathway ahead. Upon an attempt to establish communication, the individual abruptly turned and vanished amidst one of the seemingly infinite pathways, eluding any further interaction. This engagement was not captured on the helmet cam of Private Collins. Witnessing this occurrence, the team decided to cautiously pursue the individual, hoping to locate other inhabitants who could provide assistance. However, as they made their way through the winding paths, a growing sense of unease settled upon the team, who became increasingly alert to the possibility of an ambush. As the team presses forward, their senses now heightened, they stumble upon a perplexing sight. Esoteric and enigmatic monuments, hanging like silent sentinels amidst the desolate village, became increasingly apparent in their surroundings. Members of the team exchange uncertain glances, with the peculiar artifacts drawing the attention of some with an almost magnetic pull. 3 members of the team, enthralled by the surreal sight before them, implored their comrades to proceed without them, assuring them of their swift return to the group. The unwavering resolve and intensity in their voices unsettled their fellow soldiers, who exchanged apprehensive glances, sensing the gravity of their comrades' fixation. Disturbingly, their sergeant was among the affected individuals, displaying an alarming fixation on the mysterious artifacts, further deepening the concern and uncertainty among the team. Tensions quickly escalated, as the affected members grew increasingly agitated by their comrades' attempts to break their fixation on the artifacts. Manifesting as verbal outbursts, the initial signs of agitation quickly escalated into physical confrontations, resulting in Collins engaging in a brief yet intense grappling match with his sergeant. As the altercation is quickly diffused, another disconcerting development unfolds within the team. One member, overcome by the mounting strangeness of their situation, succumbs to a state of mental unraveling. In a disturbing display, he begins to exhibit erratic behavior, engaging in a frenzied dance and flailing his arms in an unsettling manner that disturbs the team further. In the captured footage, the troubled soldier can be observed mouthing words, his lips moving in a desperate attempt to convey a message. However, the intermittent audio corruption that plagues this segment of the recording renders deciphering of his words an impossible feat. In the midst of these strange and disorienting ordeals, a member of the team, still exhibiting what seems to be a sound state of mind, draws attention to their current count, revealing a disturbing truth. Private Reynolds, who had just been with the team moments earlier, inexplicably became separated from the group. In an endeavor to locate the missing member within the seemingly infinite expanse of the village, Private Collins, together with the remaining soldiers, organized themselves into pairs and established a prearranged rendezvous point as a contingency measure, a feeble attempt to retain some semblance of control amidst their escalating situation. The mentally unraveled soldier, James Roberts, continues to exhibit erratic behavior, unresponsive to verbal communication, as he persists in his slow and unsettling movements. Their sergeant, Ethan Thompson, suspiciously elects to remain put and takes on the responsibility of monitoring James's actions. Despite their concerns, The rest of the team, driven by a sense of duty and curiosity, presses on. Privates Ryan Mitchell and Ben Anderson move ahead in a forward direction, while Liam Collins and Eric Johnson endeavor to retrace their steps, hoping to locate Reynolds. As you'll soon witness, the team's endeavor to reach the designated rendezvous point inevitably culminates in failure. As Collins and Johnson meticulously retrace their steps in search of Reynolds, a disconcerting realization can be made. Areas that can be identified as paths the team had previously traversed are now adorned with the artifacts, suspended in positions they had not occupied before. This unmistakable detail, deserving of the soldiers' attention, strangely remains unaddressed between the pair. As the footage continues, Collins's growing fixation with his surroundings becomes increasingly evident. His attention wavers from Johnson and the path ahead, becoming lost in contemplation of the peculiar objects for extended periods of time. Amidst his mounting preoccupation with the artifacts, Collins's attempts to shout and call out for Reynolds gradually fade into silence. It is at this juncture that the footage undergoes a further escalation of censorship, obscuring even more of the visual and auditory content. After what's speculated to be an approximate duration of 50 minutes, the footage resumes. However, upon the resumption of the footage, Private Eric Johnson is conspicuously absent, his whereabouts unknown. During the last remaining segments of video footage, Private Collins can be seen wandering aimlessly for hours throughout the village, his gait and demeanor increasingly peculiar. Eventually, Private Collins meanders his way to a specific area, moving with an eerie sense of purpose, as if he knows exactly where he is headed. He comes to a halt in that spot and remains motionless for the remaining 30 minutes of the recorded footage. With this final frame, the helmet cam footage abruptly ends. Ethan Thompson, James Roberts, Ryan Mitchell, Ben Anderson, Eric Johnson, Mark Reynolds, and Liam Collins are never seen again. Upon the discovery of Liam Collins's helmet cam, which is located 7 miles from the team's stranded vehicles in the Registan Desert, the team is quickly declared KIA by the US military. Despite extensive efforts, the village depicted in the footage remains elusive, and to this day, it has yet to be located.
The story of this Private Liam's unit is something that is still mysterious to a lot of people. There are people who still question that it ever happened, but the footages are evidence that this may have happened, because by daybreak or by dawn, when the rest of the US Army men started looking for this unit, they couldn't find them. In their search, the only thing they were able to find was the helmet and camera that one of the privates or one of the soldiers had worn. And it was this camera that gave them an insight as to where they may have gone to. And it was said the helmet was found 7 miles away from where their car broke down. And looking through the footages, they realized that these people had gone into a village. But when the soldiers started investigating to go back to see the villages that they were seeing in this footage, it was said that they could not find the village in sight. It was said that nothing existed 7 miles away from where their car broke down. No houses, no building, nothing. It was all flat out a desert. What? Did the village suddenly disappear? Did it go down underground? Or was it that it never existed? Some of the footages were said to have been corrupt, so the only ones that were available were just screenshots or pictures of what is available. They used helicopters, they used drones, they used different technology to find where these people must have been, to find where these entire unit members were. Even if they were killed and their bodies were found, they needed their body. But nothing was found of them. Nothing. The US declared them dead in action, almost as if they had some kind of war and they died while fighting for it, even though their bodies were never recovered. And when the story became viral, a lot of people had come up with their theories that there's a chance that they met another dimension, or there's a chance that they may have gone into a spiritual world, a world where only the spiritual eyes could see, a world where the normal eyes could not see, saying that they may have been a victim of spiritual attacks. The entire story is very creepy and very unusual. Personally, when I heard it, I had no words. I had no explanation. I doubted it. Even up to now, it's hard to believe this thing happened, that these people saw a village and disappeared, and when they were being searched for, they could not find them, nor could they find the village that they went to. I mean, it's very mysterious if you ask me. But you guys let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think may have happened to this Private Liam Collins unit? Do you think they were attacked by actual rebel groups or terrorists? Or do you think something spiritual might have happened to them? Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Thank you for watching.